Hi, my name is Angie Sneeringer, and I've been asked to speak at this year's Gimme Shelter event to hopefully bring some awareness to housing fragility and at-risk teens. I want to share with you 14-year-old Angie. 14-year-old Angie was a rebel without a cause. She um, loved her friends and really tried to put on this I have everything, figured out teenage behavior. Um, but it kind of left normal teenage behavior realms and started slipping into the at risk teenager world when some things at home started becoming a little bit more chaotic. And in light of today's COVID crisis and things that other families are going through right now, some of the experiences that my family went through might apply to a family that you know, or perhaps your own family. And so it is my hope today to bring some awareness and some ideas and some resources to you in case there is a family that you can reach out and help. So back to 14-year-old Angie. Uh, this was a very hard time. Um, I tried to make as many friends and be as cool as I could be, but under the surface, things were just holding together. And the scotch tape was starting to rip a little bit here and there at home as my family was trying to do the best that we could at the time. A little background: my mom was a single mom and a nurse, and she worked varying shifts because during some shifts, like third shift, you could make a little bit more money. And there are a lot of single moms in that position. And so she did take as many third shift opportunities as possible. She took some seconds as well. Because of that, and having a 14-year-old daughter at home, the overnight plan kind of had to be shuffled a bit. Um, During the weekends, it looked like a lot of sleepovers at friends' houses. One family in particular seemed to host a lot of sleepovers and would invite more than one of us. So it didn't feel any different than what I thought a lot of my friends were going through. I was invited to go on camping trips with some of these families and other opportunities just to be part of it while my mom was working as much as she could. The thing that didn't feel eventually normal, that I started to very quickly realize was not a normal experience, though it did feel normal in the beginning, was how weeknights went. Because mom worked mostly third shift, I was a couch hopper. And my entire freshman year, I would ask different neighbors if I could sleep on their couch so that I had adult supervision overnight. Um, that consisted of me asking and me seeking, and it really did take a lot of people reading skills, which is very common of at-risk teens, to be able to develop a little bit of hypervigilance, to be able to read the room well and know when that welcome has been worn out. So when I felt like I had over asked in one place, then I would start leaning on another neighbor. um, School mornings looked like my own alarm clock that I would bring with me to that couch, and um, it would go off at 5:30. I would wake up and get my stuff, and I would walk back to our duplex and get myself ready to board the 6:15 bus to school. I went to school at 7 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock to be able to participate in extra things like band, which was really a great place for me to have a core group of friends and was very important in that stage of my life to have that little cocoon around me. So I would take my PE first thing in the morning at 7. Uh, that meant that this was the year, I like to call it, of the made bed, because my bed was mostly made most of the time. It kind of became an issue after a while, a little bit of sadness mixed with envy that I knew that most children were going home to their bed and sleeping in their bed every night. And I know on more than one occasion I would look at my room and know that this was not where I was going to be tonight, that I was going to be on somebody's couch or in somebody's floor having a sleep out. Um, and it started to not be okay with me. Um, so a lot of this acting out and at-risk behavior that began began because of some of these feelings of fragility in different areas like housing and food, some of the areas that we were just struggling to meet. So, after a school year of that, I ended up actually going to live with my grandmother. And that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened. It was surely one of the hardest things to put into place for our family, but it was the right decision. And I really think that it deeply shaped the course of where I was at that point in my life and where I am today. So, this is just a couple of years after being in a new home situation. That was prom. That was my first and only prom. And you can even just see the weight that had been lifted. Uh, I was getting so much better sleep. My grades skyrocketed. My mom was getting the support that she needed. Um, Sometimes our best is not our best. Sometimes what has always worked well stops working. And we were very, very lucky to have family that could step in and support us. A lot of families being spoken about at this event don't have that. And I think that's what makes my story not end in a shelter or not end in a tent encampment. Um, that sounds very dramatic to put that way, but I bet had we not had the support that we had, our story might sound similar to some of the people being helped through Phoenix and the other organizations that have been helping our people experiencing homelessness recently and for a long time in our community. I think homelessness can sneak up on a family. I think that many families are 1 to 3 months away from homelessness financially, and we are very lucky that things worked out the way that they did. Um, so, yes, there's me with more sleep, more stability, definitely better emotional health. I did not feel like I needed to, guard myself and guide myself through the world as much as I had been my freshman year. I was ready for the world. I decided that college was the path that I was going to go. And I graduated high school. My grades my freshman year, it would have been questionable if I had stayed on that course for 3 additional years, whether graduation was a possibility for me. I strongly became aware that I wanted to become a teacher. I had teachers along the way that were super supportive. I think maybe knew what was going on and found ways to help from the lane that they were in my life. Uh, and so I think I really realized that my story could be my path, that my mountain could be how I help others get through their mountain. And this is really skimming the surface of everything that was going on. Any teen at risk has multiple layers of things that have happened to get them to that point. And so does the family, even when families are doing their very, very best. So that high school graduation led to graduating from Bradley, led to becoming a teacher. And now I really do see my students in a different way, through a different lens. So I wanted to just bring a couple of points to your attention, things that maybe you are seeing your daughter's best friend exhibit, or maybe there's a neighbor family that you're wondering how they're doing. These are especially hard times, and if there is anything hard emotionally going on in the family, in addition to a financial crisis or health crisis that we are seeing, it may just be one straw too many for the camel's back. So I know that my 8th grade year to freshman year, I chopped off all my hair. I started wearing heavier makeup, tougher clothes, kind of got a side group of friends that weren't my normal group of friends. There were definitely changes in all of the areas described here. Um, Perhaps that daughter's friend that might come to mind is asking to join you for dinner more, or asking your daughter to see if this friend can be invited more. Maybe food is an issue. Maybe it's hard at the end of the month to still put food on the table. These are tiny little clues that could help you identify a family that is in need of more support. So, to wrap up what I think could help a family, I think that the very first thing that I would recommend that you do would be to give them the resource of calling 211. 211 can connect them to a lot of services that you see here on the screen that may be just beyond their scope of ability or just time or even just out of maybe depression or something they're going through, their motivation to be able to seek out these services on their own little by little. 211 is very good at trying to get some things going for the family or the teen or whoever it is that is needing help. Um, so that would be where I would take my story today. Should someone present to me the way that I surely presented to other people in the education field, I know a lot of you are social workers, a lot of you are community members who just care about others. So I hope that my story can help you, can help someone. And when in doubt, offer support. It is never too much to ask.